I'm Bailey and I'm 19 and I started my business last year during COVID, editing episodes and podcasts for clients. And it kind of started more as like an accident, to be honest. I was still in high school at this time and I'd entered a podcast competition with my school and I found that I really loved the medium. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna start learning this. And yeah, it kind of just snowballed from there. I got one client and then word of mouth spread it, and now it's a full-time business.
Well, it's great for me. It's fantastic for me because I was probably right there at the beginning. We've been going for 100 episodes now.
Yeah.
So it was fantastic to find someone who was willing to take on all of the other stuff that goes with it. Hello and welcome. Mentoring with Geraldine is a bite-sized practitioner podcast for naturopaths, nutritionists, herbalists, and practitioners. This podcast responds directly to your needs, the needs of the practicing natural therapist. With interviews, herbal discussions, something business and something clinical each week, you'll get the variety you need and enjoy to stay motivated in practice. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Mentoring with Geraldine and the Bite Size Podcast. How are you going? You know what's really cool are some of the emails I've been getting from listeners. And so if you wanted to email me, please do geraldine@mentoringwithgeraldine.biz. Now, today is an exciting episode because it's number 100. I cannot believe that we have made it to 100. So I tried a podcast before long ago and actually it was a disaster. I did it myself, right? So, I mean, it was good. The content was good, but the whole thing was a bit of a disaster. There was no structure to it. I didn't have a beginning and an ending. I didn't have all of the things that were needed within it. And it was on hypnosis, so totally different to what we're doing now. But thankfully, the way podcasts work is if you don't pay a company to host your podcast, it doesn't last forever. So thankfully, they've just disappeared into the ether. But because it's my 100 today, I've asked a special guest today, Bailey Campbell, to come on and have a chat because Bailey does all the hard yards for me. She pulls it together, she puts the music on it, and she makes sure that it goes out twice a week to you guys. She makes sure that everything is set up and running. And when I get messages from Buzzsprout or iTunes or whoever, and I just send a copy to Bailey and go, what does this mean? And she goes, no, I'm already onto that. It's done. So I thought it was time to introduce you all to my tech wizard, Bailey Campbell. So Bailey, thank you so much for coming, and please tell us all about yourself.
Hi, thank you for having me on here, Geraldine. Yeah, I'm so excited that we've gotten to 100 episodes. It's crazy. So I'm Bailey and I'm 19 and I started my business last year during COVID, editing episodes and podcasts for clients, and it kind of started more as like an accident, to be honest. I was still in high school at this time, and I'd entered a podcast competition with my school, and I found that I really loved the medium. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna start learning this. And yeah, it kind of just snowballed from there. I got one client and then word of mouth spread it, and now it's a full-time business.
Well, it's great for me. It's fantastic for me because I was probably right there at the beginning. We've been going for 100 episodes now.
Yeah.
So it was fantastic to find someone who was willing to take on all of the other stuff that goes with it. So most of my podcasts aren't edited. There is the odd door slam in the middle of it or something happens. And so I have to message and say, Bailey, at 1.3 minutes, can you do something there? But most of mine I do is one cut. So when you have to cut it, how technical does that get for the other people who need cutting in their podcasts and things?
So I have about 15 podcasts that I edit for each week, which is a lot. Keeps me on my toes. But yeah, they range from heavy editing to very minimal editing, and it depends really on the client and what kind of editing style they want, whether they want it to sound more natural and more like a steady conversation, or to have it very clean and no ums and ahs and all of this kind of stuff. And it can be a little bit difficult, especially trying to edit out things when people are talking over each other. That can be quite hard if, there's like a dog barking and someone's talking at the same time. It can be quite difficult.
You've got other strings to your bow as well, though, as well as podcasting. You do people's logos and their branding and all sorts of other work as well. You've got pretty much a little social media company happening there, haven't you? So tell us about the other strings to your bow, Bailey.
So I do branding, I do logos and stuff like that, do full branding packages. I also do website design, website building, and I work a lot with a platform called Kartra, which is very similar to Kajabi and Podia and things like that. And yeah, I class myself as like a Kartra wizard because I can set up all these like funnels and I can do websites through Kartra and all of this kind of stuff as well. And I run workshops for Kartra building, and I also teach Canva. I do a lot.
You do. You're multi-talented there. There's a bit of multitasking as well, getting it all done and out, using all the different platforms and connecting them. So, for me, it's been fabulous having someone do all the back end of my podcast, because it just takes so much. Well, for me, it would take time I just do not have. So I had to outsource it. There's no way I could have a podcast without somebody doing all that background for me. So it would just, there's not the time in my life with all the lecturing and the teaching and the courses that I run. And because I do create my own pages on Podia because I enjoy doing it. And I enjoy doing those parts. And I would enjoy, I think, doing the podcast. However, realistically, I have to say, what can I do? What do I have time for? And what do I have to farm out? And I farmed out a number of things. But the podcast one is really handy because there's a number of times when you've messaged me and said, Geraldine, this is our last one. We need another one, so that we can come out on a Tuesday and a Thursday religiously every week. And so it's been great, absolutely brilliant working with you, because it makes my life so much easier and it's so structured. And so it just flows for me. So what's coming up for you? So what is it? What is the big dream or the challenge that you're heading into now with your business then?
So at the moment, I'm really trying to grow my social media presence. I'm thinking that, if I grow this platform and I grow a dedicated following and dedicated audience of people who actually understand me and, vibe with how I come across, then I can kind of transition into whatever I want in the future. And at the moment, I love what I do. I love editing for people. I love doing the branding stuff. And it's a pretty good money spinner at the moment, which is great. But, in the future, I don't want to shoebox myself in. So having that platform and being able to kind of transition that into whatever I want to do in the future is going to be really valuable for me. So that's my focus at the time.
That sounds amazing. I mean, you were in Bali for a long time and you've moved back to New Zealand. So you're having to make the whole new life again in New Zealand and create yourself there. So it's, there's always something happening with you. It sounds really exciting, as you're moving forward. So, since we're the Bite Size podcast, we might actually leave it there today. And I might say thank you very much, Bailey, for editing my podcast. And I hope everybody who's listening or watching, if you found us on YouTube, enjoys the 100th episode of Mentoring with Geraldine and the Bite Size podcast. Thank you, Bailey.
Awesome. Thank you, Geraldine.
Thanks so much for joining me today. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast for the weekly episodes. If you'd like even more support and learning, then the Academy is for you. Here you'll find part 2 of the herbal discussions, more clinical learning, and case studies to support your clients in practice. Bye for now.